Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Fabian. As I mentioned, my pronouns are he, him, and él. I'm so excited to collaborate with the Los Rios Community College District, AvenueE, and TOP to bring you this event. This session will be recorded, and the webinar feature, you won't be able to submit, click on your window to unmute yourself, but you will be able to use the chat and also the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen, so you can submit any questions. Lastly, please ensure that you do not put any identifiable information in the chat or in your Q&A that may violate FERPA. So if you have questions regarding your grades, your GPA, eligibility, I advise to just schedule a one-on-one appointment, and then we'll go over that as well. So let's get started. So let's jump right in. So basic requirements are the academic standard that you have to meet to consider for admissions to the UC system. It's extremely important to know about the basic requirements, but they shouldn't be the starting point for you to transfer if you're planning to transfer. You should really just think of these as pathways to get into the UC system. To be competitive as a transfer student, you must strive for a high GPA, completion of major preparation coursework to be truly ready to transfer. As a junior level transfer applicant, you will need to meet the following requirements. Luckily though, some of your major preparation and general education coursework will count towards these requirements. So for example, completing 60 semester or 90 quarter units of UC transferable coursework, completing the 7-course pattern by the end of the spring term prior to enrollment at the UC, earn at least a minimum GPA of a 2.4 in UC transferable coursework, or a 2.8 if you're a non-resident. So be mindful that this information is focused on this year's requirements and are subject to change. So I encourage you to work closely with your academic advisor or counselor at your community college, and definitely the transfer center, to stay up to date with the program requirements. Nothing feels better than getting a guarantee place at a UC, which is exactly what TAG offers. Now, at one of the six UC campuses, UC Davis is one of the 6 campuses participating in TAG. So each UC has different requirements. You can use, it's called the TAG matrix, to view all 6 campuses and majors that are TAG or not taggable. So please know you must meet all criteria in order to stay qualified. So again, units, GPA, 7-course pattern, enrollment criteria are equally weighted during the TAG evaluation. So today, the primary focus is for the College of Engineering still accepts tags here at UC Davis. And we'll go over what that means. So students apply for transfer admissions to selective majors that must meet additional course and GPA requirements. So this means that all courses must be taken for a letter grade with no grade less than a C. All major prep courses are required or must be completed by the end of the spring term prior to your fall enrollment. And just something to be mindful of, like all majors in the College of Engineering are selective and have additional transfer requirements. Overall, UC transferable coursework must meet a minimum GPA of a 3.1 or a technical of a 3.2. Students are expected to take the courses comparable to UC Davis courses required as long as they are offered at a California community college that they attend. You could use resources like assist.org, which indicates you'll be able to note if it's not comparable or not articulated in the selected major course requirements. Any of those designations will be waived for the UC admissions and TAG criteria. But you really must complete all, or after enrolling at UC Davis, you must find the California Community College courses that are comparable to UC Davis courses, and again, using assist.org. To be a well-prepared, strong candidate, we strongly recommend that students complete all of their lower division coursework requirements for their major, as shown as on the assist.org website. For TAG applicants for fall of 2022, you must achieve a minimum overall GPA of a 3.5 in UC transferable coursework and a 3.5 GPA in their technical GPA. So for more details and descriptions of the articulation coursework for your particular community college, please visit assist.org or visit your transfer center at your community college. And just, I want to bring up a little bit of a tip. Just be mindful that the articulation agreement is pertaining to that particular community college. So I know that a lot of our Los Rios students maybe take a couple courses here and there, but just be mindful that the agreement is for these chunks of classes with that particular community college. So it's in your best interest to take that sequence at that community college. And if you're preparing for multiple engineering majors, start by completing the most common major preparation courses that all engineering majors share, and then complete any additional requirements for each major listed, okay? So the transfer process looks different for each of you. I highly recommend that you become familiar with your resources. Like I mentioned before, like assist.org, which houses all of the articulation agreements between the California community colleges, the CSUs, and the UC system. The other great resource, and it's called the UC TAP, so admissions planner, academic planner. It's a free tool to help prospective UC students really track and plan their coursework. The UC TAP tool is designed for use by students transferring from a California community college, including students who are seeking maybe a transfer guarantee, TAG, and we'll go over that, what that means, at one of the 6 participating colleges. Students can use the transfer admissions planner to enter their coursework that's been completed and coursework that is also planned. From the very beginning of their college career and to the point that they decide to transfer to a UC campus. The planner really helps students track their progress towards meeting UC minimum requirements, and it allows us, the UC staff, to communicate important information to prospective students. As I mentioned before, please utilize the transfer centers at your community colleges. Check in, this is a good habit, check in with your counselor or advisor at least once a semester, and maybe twice as you're getting close to transferring, right? So Los Rios Community College District graciously provides each of you a free service through the UC Davis Transfer Opportunity Program. With this agreement, which is also known as TOP, so each participating college has a designated UC Davis coordinator who is available to help turn your community college units into a 4-year degree. I have my colleague Lisa, Jackie, and Pam, and I. So we are all assigned to one Los Rios district. I'm the one that's assigned to Cosumnes River. So if you have any questions or would like to schedule that one-on-one appointment, you could find our contact information on our website, and we'll go over what that link is. So I know that balancing school, work, life responsibilities, transfer deadlines can be overwhelming, but the key to success is really to stay up to date with the admissions timeline. For those of you that are applying this fall or have applied this fall to try to get it next fall, doing things ahead when you can is vital, right? So for example, if you have you started your personal insight questions? Have you started your FAFSA? Have you started your scholarship search? I consider searching for a college and major that will support your career and educational goals one of the highest priorities. I know that for some of us, and I'm speaking for myself, that realistically, we don't have those skills, or like we don't understand like when to do these things, but this is why we're here to help you, and this is why we're having these types of conversations, right? It's really hard sometimes as a first generation college student, and I'm speaking for myself, We have to work a little bit harder to inform ourselves of our options. So I encourage you all to reach out to your counselor or advisor at your community college, me, or the assigned coordinator to your particular college to ask for help through this process. I noticed that the enrollment number went up a little bit, but I sent you all the PDF version of these slides. So use maybe the application and admissions timeline information. I don't know, you could like print it, save it as your laptop background image so you stay up to date. Add these to your cell phone, just make sure that you do things ahead of time, but just be mindful. And another great resource is to stay connected and to learn more about the campuses. You could get answers for admissions questions. We really hope that you follow the UC Davis undergraduate admissions on Instagram to meet some of our students, get reminders about deadlines, learn a lot, some more. Our main UC Davis channels, especially TikTok and Snapchat and YouTube, will give you an inside look into the student life. We also have a Facebook group for adults that are out there who are supporting high school and community college students in their university quest. It's called Applying to UC Davis, and you're welcome to join. And again, you could contact us via phone or email interface. You can click on Ask an Advisor. If you have any more questions, I'll be happy to answer. Or you could also join us for our various webinars, events led by our friendly students and expert staff. I'll go ahead and pass it over to my colleague Yesenia, who's going to talk about a couple more things.
Thank you, Fabian. Fabian, can you allow me to share my video camera?
Same for other panelists, Fabian. If you can allow them to share their videos, that would be good, their camera.
So good afternoon, students. My name is Yesenia Cervantes Tucker. I'm the director of the AvenueE program, and I use she, her, hers, and ella pronouns. I wanted to begin by sharing that this year UC Davis stood out among universities around the world. It shines as a gem among American public universities and is ranked high for the good it does, especially for the social mobility it provides for its students. Among the US News academic rankings, UC Davis ranks 27th in engineering. It's tied with Duke, Harvard, Ohio State University. So it's a great place for you to study if you're considering engineering. It's specifically, it ranked second in biological and agricultural engineering, and it's listed for environmental and environmental health as well as civil engineering. A UC Davis engineering education goes far beyond its great rankings. It's a place for anyone who dreams of creating something to make our world better, from things that fly to buildings and bridges that keep us safe, to code that enables our daily activity, to the devices and materials that make modern medicine possible. This college can help you bring your ideas to life. And our engineering students don't just make things, they are also help to evaluate the creations that we make and adapt them to thrive in a real world. So let's talk a little bit more about the college. Next slide, Fabian. The college is comprised of a large and diverse undergraduate student body, yet allows for students to build community and connection with one another. Our faculty are leaders in their fields with a deep commitment to teaching, research, and innovation. There's a commitment in the college to addressing equity gaps in education and ensuring that all students succeed and thrive post-degree. All of this is represented by the figures before you, and our ranking is a great indicator of our success. We are a great institution for you to consider studying engineering, so please, please think about Davis as you prepare to apply. Next slide, Fabian. I also just wanted to share a little bit about the engineering department. We have 8 departments within our college. 12 undergraduate majors are represented within these departments. There's a transfer guide for engineering that you can reference to get more information about the individual majors, and you can use the QR codes that are listed on the screen to access some of that information. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about the majors within the college. Next slide. So as referenced in the last slide, there are 8 departments in the college. Each one makes a unique contribution to the field of engineering. the image before you gives you some insight onto how that knowledge that you gained in class will help you to apply that in the real world. So the kinds of companies that seek employers in any specific field. So for example, if you're considering electrical and computer engineering, you're gonna maybe apply that in power plants or electrical power lines or computer hardware, wireless communication, et cetera. And you might want to work for a computer company or a utility company, just as an example. But take a look, you have these slides, take a look at this diagram later and you can get a better idea of like what kinds of industries are hiring in each of these majors. Next, I want to speak to the ways that students gain hands-on experience here at UC Davis. So there's many, many ways for students to gain hands-on experience, but I'll focus on 3. We have the Engineering Student Design Center, which provides manufacturing education, resources, and support for students of every engineering discipline as they work on projects for classes, research, independent study, and student design competitions. This is a place where you can actually build some of the things that you need to create to the next invention. We also have the Student Startup Center, which provides resources, programs, coursework, and networking for students in their entrepreneurial journey. The center partners with industry giants like Intel and LinkedIn to bring ideas to life through hackathons and seed funding. So this is a place like if you want to be an entrepreneur, they will help you, develop that craft, figure out what skills you need, how to network, how to generate capital for your next invention. It's a very unique program to UC Davis. It's wonderful. We also have the Engineering Design Showcase, which allows students to a chance to network and share their capstone projects. So at UC Davis, you do have to complete a capstone project in engineering, and it's just basically an opportunity to showcase like the kind of work that you've been doing or what you've learned throughout your coursework. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about other ways to gain valuable hands-on experience and build community with peers, and that's through student life. Through experiential learning opportunities like student clubs, design teams and competitions, or internship opportunities and research, you can build some of the skills that you need for a professional career. You can gain lifelong friendships that will help you learn, grow, and develop the skills needed for your career. You will also have an opportunity to participate in numerous clubs on campus. We have, I believe, over 800 clubs or so around campus, and we have 40 specifically within the College or that are engineering focused, I should say. Some of our students are currently working on satellites to be sent to space, designing cars for national competitions, and traveling internationally to address engineering challenges. One that comes to mind is Engineers Without Borders, a student organization working with a community in Peru to address the failing water distribution system that's preventing this community from gaining access to clean water, drinkable water, and to just address the community needs so that they don't have this kind of issue in the future. So just one of many examples of ways that you can get hands-on experience and also just connect with students and build community. So next, I'd like to talk about like why any of this matters. Well, it's important because all of these experiences are really going to help you to thrive at UC Davis and ultimately to graduate and move on to a professional career. Many of our students, when they do enter industry, they do make really good living. And so that's important, right? You want to be able to apply what you're learning into a real life setting and make some money while you're doing that. So that hopefully in the future, you're able to give back to those that will come and follow in your footsteps. And also important because it'll give you an opportunity to build a network of support that will help you to gain opportunities in career. All right, next, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about our AvenueE program. So I mentioned that UC Davis is really committed to the success of its students. And one way that we do that is by supporting programs like AvenueE that are specifically designed to support transfer students to the College of Engineering. Our program is designed specifically to to encourage the full participation of women and underrepresented groups in STEM. We serve high potential, low resource students and those from families in which neither parent holds a bachelor's degree. And underrepresented groups specifically refers to those who identify as Black, African American, Latinx, Chicanx, Native American, Indigenous, and women, though we serve all students who have a desire to impact this mission that we're attempting to, and this issue we're attempting to address. All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about the benefits. Next slide. So our program serves both community college and UC Davis students. To help clarify the services offered at each institution, I created this visual to differentiate between what you can expect from a program while attending community college versus a program while attending UC Davis. And ultimately, what we want to do while you're at community college is connect you with the resources and information that will help you with that transfer, that transition to hopefully UC Davis's College of Engineering. So we have programs like Aggie to Be and Aggie Transfer Scholars Week that will provide information on what UC Davis has to offer, what the transfer process is like, how to make that happen. We also provide advising while at community college through our liaisons at the community college to ensure that you have the support that you need to complete the coursework that's needed. And then we have a strong partnership with our admissions office, like the TOP program, to ensure that you have the transfer support that you need to ensure you're ready for transfer requirements. And throughout the year, we have special events and admissions activities to help you with just promoting bonding with other students in AvenueE, enhance the transfer experience, give you opportunities to connect with staff or with other industry partners that will help you to see the value in coming to UC Davis and a career in engineering. So those are some of the reasons why you should consider AvenueE, but there are certainly many others. I'd like to now turn to the application process. So you do have to apply to be a part of the program. You can go to our website, avenue.ucdavis.edu, and there'll be a tab to apply. It'll take you to a page that looks something like the one on your screen in front of you. We ask that you complete each step of the process, but I'll focus on step 2, which is the actual application for the program. So we can't connect with you as a student if you don't complete this application. So please do visit the website and fill out this application. All of you should consider applying to the program right now. The application will ask you just for some very brief demographic information and ask you to provide a response to 3 questions. I won't go into all of the details because you'll have access to that soon. But what I will say is to please access that application soon, because if you apply before November 30th, the UC application deadline, then those of you who are getting ready to transfer will be considered for a scholarship of up to $1,000 while at community college. So very important that all of you apply, but particularly those that are getting ready to transfer, take advantage of that opportunity. All right, so lastly, I just wanted to share some contact information. If you have any questions about our program, you can email us, you can visit our website, or you have the link here to the application again. All right, and then finally, if you have any questions about the College of Engineering, please feel free to email us or visit our website.
Thank you so much, Yesenia, for that vital information. And again, I encourage you all to stay in touch, motivated, and check your emails for any updates. So now I want to invite my colleague, Anna, and our faculty. So feel free to turn on your videos. And Anna, you have the floor.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining our engineering information session. I'm a counselor at Casamas River College counseling faculty. And I'm really happy to introduce today wonderful UC Davis faculty. We're gonna have with us 4 faculty members, Dr. Rolf Aldredge, Dr. Ricardo Castro, Dr. Colleen Bronner, and Dr. Sanjeevi Sivasankar. I hope I pronounced your names correctly. Just to give you a little bit of insight, I actually do work with Teresa Aldredge, who is Dr. Rolf Aldredge's wife, wonderful counselor and faculty member. Dr. Rolf Aldredge is an associate dean for undergraduate studies at UC Davis College of Engineering. is also professor, Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. Hello, Dr. Aldredge. Okay. I think Dr. Ricardo had to leave. I'm going to introduce Dr. Colleen Bronner, if that's okay. So Dr. Colleen Bronner is the Vice Chair for Undergraduate Studies and Associate Professor of Teaching Civil and Environmental Engineering Department. Welcome. And Dr. Sanjeevi Sivasankar is Professor of Biomedical Engineering Department at UC Davis. And we have a couple of questions for the faculty, and feel free to unmute your microphone. The first question is for Dr. Aldredge. In what ways does the College of Engineering support transfer students? For example, do you provide counseling, advising, internship, and career support? Thank you.
So we're very fortunate to have a great resource of the community colleges in the area, the Los Rios Community College District, and our partners, you all, to help us with that. You've heard about the AvenueE program and how we can reach out to students and help you on your transition to Davis. And so we offer not only retention programs, but also hands-on learning experiences, which we think are so important for students to really stay engaged and to be retained, frankly, within the College of Engineering. Our transfer students do well, actually, at Davis, but we are very much interested in not only providing a good academic experience, but also for opportunities once you graduate. And to that extent, we have a mentoring program, Mentor Collective, that's offered to first year to freshmen and incoming transfer students in the College of Engineering and Computer Science. And this is an opportunity for you to be matched with an alumnus or alumna from UC Davis College of Engineering within the last 10 years. So it's someone who hopefully has had an experience not too different from what you are embarking on at Davis. And you're matched in accordance to your preferences, to your, whether it's someone that in your major, or if you have a similar life experience, you can indicate that and request that you find someone that's similar in that regard as well. So this is a program which is shown to increase retention, and it's a way also to make connections and find out about opportunities for internships and employment opportunities after you graduate.
Thank you. I wanted to add one other question. A lot of times our students, when they attend community colleges and then they transfer, they might mix the advising versus counseling. Would you be able to share that information with our prospective students?
Sure, thanks. That's a really great question, because yeah, it's quite different. I know the type of service that is provided at the community college, which is both counseling and advising, is different. So at Davis, the advising will focus on academic advising, on an academic plan, making sure that you have a map of courses that you need to take to complete your degree. If you're interested in considering another major, that's the advice you'll get from an advisor as well. Opportunities for academic enrichment, whether that be research opportunities or centers on campus where you can get hands-on experience. Our advisors would know about that as well. We have faculty advisors in some departments as well, whether it's formal or informal, where you can talk with someone who has expertise in a certain area of a discipline that's similar to your major. And we of course have a counseling center where you can get mental health counseling, which is very, very important. Lots of resources, not only one-on-one counseling, but also workshops and tools that you can use to improve your mental health.
Thank you. The next question, what advice would you give your younger self to stay motivated? And this is for the whole faculty. Anyone can share their experiences.
Colleen, do you want to start?
Sure. So sometimes I think in engineering, we get very focused on what we're doing in the class, and we're working on something, we might not see the larger impact. And that was what made me go into engineering. It's not that I don't like math and physics, but that wasn't really what drove me to go into engineering. It was to solve these grand challenges that we have as a global society. And I think what was good for me was to sometimes take something outside of engineering or to do some hobby where I was learning about something else. So even when I was taking those courses, and they were really important for the foundation of your engineering background, to have something where I kept seeing the big picture. And so I need to see that big picture or I lose motivation. And so reminding myself to do that a little bit more. And also learning a lot about neuroscience and how the brain works, because that reminds me to get enough sleep. And when I don't get enough sleep, I remember what damage it does to my memory. So making sure I've enjoyed learning more about neuroscience.
So I sort of second everything that Dr. Bronner said. What I would add also is that another sort of thing that has helped me stay motivated when I was a student, and I think is applicable even today, is trying to get as involved, to build a sense of community around you and to get as involved with it as possible. And there are many opportunities, I would add, in all the departments at UC Davis, where you can do that. For example, in my department, which is the Biomedical Engineering department, we have a number of undergraduate student clubs like the Biomedical Engineering Society and a number of clubs like that. And so participating in those clubs allows you to build a community of fellow students with whom you can sort of share your victories and also share areas where you're having problems with. And so that sense of community allows you to stay motivated and happy.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to add, or?
I think they covered it pretty well. I don't have it.
They did. Thank you so much. The next question is, and actually this was one of the questions that students asked in the questions and answer also. So can community college students collaborate in research right now? Can they participate in any of those research opportunities as prospective students who haven't, started UC Davis yet?
So I can answer in one program, and we run it at UC Davis, and we'll run it this summer as well, is there's research experience for undergraduate programs through the National Science Foundation. And they're all over the country, not just at UC Davis. And there's usually support for travel and living expenses, and they pay you a stipend. And you get to work on a project that's geared towards individuals. And this program is really trying to recruit more community college students. And our program this year may only try to recruit community college students, and we're actually going to try to recruit local students. So those are really nice programs because they're not only research, but there's elements for how to be a researcher if you're thinking about going to graduate school. And so there's also a lot of programmatic elements in the program in addition to the research that you're doing. So if you go to Google National Science Foundation research experience for undergraduates, you'll see a list of different programs, and quite a few of them are looking for engineering students.
What I would add to that is, again, I'm not sure if there are databases here at UC Davis that list the opportunities available to undergraduates. So maybe there are, and those would obviously be good resources. But also, as a faculty member, if I were to receive an email from a student in a community college who wants to get research experience in a laboratory, more likely than not, I would be very enthusiastic about it, unless, of course, there are some structural reasons, the pandemic, and you cannot work in the lab. So given other than reasons like that, I would be extremely enthusiastic about having students from community colleges come and work in the lab. So just cold calling your the faculty members is often a successful strategy.
Good, thank you. Thank you so much. And I noticed that Dr. Ricardo Castro just joined. I think he had to leave, but now he's here.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, hello.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm
It's
sorry
okay.
I'm late. I had some emergencies
It's
to take care
okay.
of.
It's
I'm here.
okay. So Dr. Ricardo Castro is an Associate Dean for Research and Graduate Studies at UC Davis. He's a professor in Material Science and Engineering Department. Okay, thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, so I should just short correction. I just finished my term as associate dean, so I'm just a normal, boring professor now. But I'm very glad to be here. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, the next question is, can community college students also, well, let me just rephrase the question. In what ways do our students get hands-on experience? Whether they are at UC Davis, or maybe should they even start this while they are at the community college?
I can add just a few things about opportunities at UC Davis. We have a variety of ways that you can get hands-on experience, starting with introductory courses where you can work together and build your communication skills, team working skills. There's a course which satisfies a communication requirement, but where there's a project that's defined and you work to develop your ideas and actually build something. And then there's an opportunity to share your designs and your product with others that include alumni and industrial representatives and a culminating design showcase experience. And so this is really something that can be very motivating because you're not really necessarily having to use all the sophisticated calculus and physics. You know, this is for a course that you take when you're a freshman or just starting out, but you really get to see the design, the things that are going to, you'll need all of that, the science, math and science for later on to actually do. So we have clubs, design teams where you can work with other students on projects, whether it be a concrete canoe or we have a formula racing team and rocketry club where you're working with other students to build something that you're going to actually use to in a competition. Often it's either statewide or national competition. And then, as was mentioned, there are research labs and centers on campus where you can get engaged in hands-on work. And I'll stop because I know my colleagues probably have a lot of other good examples as well. Professor Castro, I know you have some really exciting things.
Not sure exciting, but yeah, thanks Rob. Yeah, I think any actions that we show that there is interest of the students and they're really in show that the students can start something and complete something, and that was one of the caveats that they're always we're always looking into students and making sure that they have the capability of starting a project or finish a project. This is also related to hands-on, but also for me it adds on the how serious the student is in accomplishing things. And this is again goes of analyzing the application based on the overall like a holistic perspective of what the capability of students to become a strong engineer. And I think being able to get a project and finish a project is really important. It's not only, don't think there is a tendency every time you think about like developing hands-on activities, you just go on and let me do this and now I get bored of that, let me do something else, something else. So if I have any advice is if you're going for a hands-on activity, think of a project, something that we start and finish, or at least you have planned or a deadline to finish. Some projects are too big, sometimes it will be part of a bigger project, but at least you know what is your role, what your role is, and you know where it starts and where it ends. This is something for me that I'm always looking at for students, and I make sure I teach my students the same way. Like if you started something, make sure you finish it, because when you become an engineer after you transfer, you get an engineer, actually you will be, that's a very important skill. Nobody likes like a half-done project. No one likes it. So yeah.
Yeah, and if I could add on and kind of provide an example too of what Professor Castro is saying. So I'm the faculty advisor of something called Engineers Without Borders. And so our students, that sustainability and making sure you follow through is really important in that aspect. So we work with communities currently, the UC Davis chapter in Bolivia, Peru, and Kenya. And there's always a 5-year commitment to any community that we're working with. We do assessment, we do implementation trips, and then an evaluation trip. And we've had students, and even the project lasts longer than our students are in the organization. So making sure they document and everything, but it's a good hands-on experience. And we have students who transfer here and get involved their first quarter, but we've actually had a few students who've worked either they're from this area, and so they've participated in summer projects that we've done. You can't travel unless you're a UC Davis student because of insurance reasons, but we have had students. We had a student from Fresno City College who was a few that were participating this summer when we were doing a lot of the work remotely. And so those are opportunities too, and they tend to be opportunities that translate really well the skills you're learning into practice when you are looking for jobs later. So as was mentioned earlier with the student organizations, those can be some nice places to pick up those skills.
And I have nothing more to add. I think my colleagues covered everything pretty comprehensively. So
I just wanted to add as a career counselor, because in the past, I worked a lot with students who were applying to different positions, including internships, or even after they graduate and they don't have any work experience related to the entry-level position that they're applying for. What I recommended for our students, and I found that it was very beneficial for them, is including those hands-on projects on their resumes. So any hands-on projects you have completed in your classes, make sure you include them, because companies like, I don't know, Intel, Caltrans, or other companies that hire engineering students, they will look at your projects, anything that you completed hands-on, or the research opportunities. That's in a way a work experience. So make sure you include all that on your resume and work with your career counselor at UC Davis when you meet with them in the Career Center. Thank you so much for answering all the questions. I'm not sure if we have any other questions from students. And most of the questions have to do with admissions, academic counseling. If you have any questions for our wonderful UC Davis faculty, please feel free to ask.
I do want to ask a question, and this is open to the faculty panel, but specifically to Dr. Ralph, about how diverse the UC Davis engineering programs are, and if you could kind of speak to that.
Thank you. So our programs are diverse. We've had increases in diversity that we're very proud of. We have about 31% of our students at the undergraduate level are women. This is in the College of Engineering, and that's greater than the national average. And we have also about 27% of our students who are underrepresented minorities, and which we're also proud of. We're of course wanting to increase the numbers of underrepresented minorities and women, as well as students who are the first in their families to go to college. We have a fairly high representation of first generation students as well. And we are not only working to increase the diversity of students coming in, but we also want to make sure that we graduate a diverse class. And so that's where retention is so important, like AvenueE and other programs that we have, where we're focusing on making sure that students get the resources that they need in order to graduate.
And if I could add, there's some great student, I'm a big fan of student organizations. There's some great student organizations as well. So we have Black Engineering Association, which is affiliated with a national organization, National Society of Black Engineers. There's CALAS, which is Chicana and Latinx Engineering and Science Society. I always forget the two S's. And that is also associated with an engineering professional society, which is Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. We have Society of Women Engineers, or SWE. We have, now I'm going to forget a few of them. I'm forgetting PACE, so Filipino American Science and Engineering, I believe. And so there's a variety. I think we have a chapter of ACES, American Indian Science and Engineering Society. So there's a lot of other organizations too, where sometimes it's nice to have a different type of community. And so you can form those too. And those are strong. I think those are really strong at society or student societies where we have them. And then just a plug that I haven't been asked to do for AvenueE is that I teach a transfer transition course in civil and environmental engineering. So the first quarter transfer students, we do a course that kind of introduces you to the department. And those students have all, in reflections that they've done and conversations I've had, have talked about how that provided such a sense of community and has really helped them start the quarter feeling much more confident.
The one thing I'd like to add is that, again, you've heard a lot about the opportunities here at UC Davis, but I would sort of like to echo this and mention that I personally have worked trained and worked at several different universities. And I must say that the UC Davis is among the most welcoming places and has a commitment to diversifying its student body. And so I just wanted to say that.
Very good. We had a question from students. I think this question would be good to ask the faculty panel and later the student panel. The question is as follows. What's the jump like regarding the curriculum of UC Davis? Since it has a quarter system, what sort of obstacles and difficulties can we expect studying there rather than at the community college?
If I could start, because this is what we cover in our class. One thing I want to note is we did a study years ago, and our transfer students do just as well as our students who have come in here for 4 years. So just as successful. So you are prepared. It is a different pace, and even teaching. I taught for a while in a semester system and came to the quarter system. It's a different pace. The good news is you get to switch your courses more quickly. So when you get to week 10 in the semester system, I feel like sometimes we're like, oh man, this course is dragging, especially if you don't like it. And at the quarter system, that's when we switch. So there's some positive, but the pace is very quickly. You have to start doing your work right away. And so you don't kind of ease into it, you kind of jump into the quarter system. And I think that's one of the biggest differences. And just that professors have some different responsibilities when because they're not only teaching, they have teaching responsibilities, but they have research and some other responsibilities as well that are a little bit different. But I will say I'm always impressed. Faculty are here because they want to teach students. That's why they're at a public institution. And so are very willing, and I can speak mainly for my department, but I think it's true in the College of Engineering as a whole, are really excited to work with students and undergraduates. And so it's not like something they don't enjoy doing. They really care about teaching and they really want to help. And so going to office hours, I'm sure you'll get told that all the time, but go to office hours. That's one of the best ways, I think, to help bridge that gap.
Yeah, I can actually add to that myself. I'm a UC Davis alumni myself, and I transferred from Sacramento City College. So the experience I had was the fast pace. And from day one, actually from week one, I already felt that I was falling behind. So just after the first quarter, I felt more comfortable. I knew that right away I had to start preparing, reading the textbooks. It's just really being very focused and motivated and driven and not fall behind, because procrastination is not going to work at UC Davis in a quarter system. Kind of like imagine your summer sessions at the community college. That's how you're going to feel in a quarter system during the regular quarters. But on the other hand, you can finish everything faster. And if you absolutely, dislike this one specific course for some reason, you know that it's gonna fly by and you're gonna be able to move on to the next class quickly. There was another question for Dr. Sivasankar. For biomedical engineering majors, what level of education is typically required for an entry-level job, lab, or an industry?
Yeah, so for an entry-level job, a BS degree would be sufficient in a biomedical engineering, in a typical industry that would employ biomedical engineers. Many of the biomedical engineering undergraduate students here at UC Davis often are targeting graduate education as well, because they would, because several students do plan to go to graduate school, but there are several students in the department who wrap up with a BS degree and then enter the workforce. So the BS would be the typical degree level.
Thank you. Students, do you have any other questions? We have about 5 minutes left before we invite the student panel. Any last minute questions for our wonderful UC Davis faculty?
I was going to add, with these 5 minutes left, for the faculty for joining, what advice would you give transfer students right now, especially those that are applying this year or maybe looking to apply in the next couple of years? What advice would you give them?
I would say try to get familiar with not only the programs that you might be interested in. So if you're going to apply for a certain major, also the resources available to you to support you while you're here. Those are really important, and it's really good if you are aware of them. I think that'll make you feel more comfortable and confident and interested in applying to Davis.
So I'll echo what Dean Aldredge said, and what I would add to that is it would be very important to take advantage of all the resources that UC Davis offers, particularly in terms of extracurriculars in the different departments, student clubs, and generating a sense of community. But the other encouraging aspect is that I think all of you who transfer would end up being very successful, and so you shouldn't be shy.
And I'll add, I agree with everything that was said, but I think also too is trying to remembering to have faith in yourself. You're here, you're going through the system, you're doing well, and it can feel easy to feel like I don't belong, or maybe I'm not able to do this. Engineering is a lot of work, like hard work, but you're able to do it. And so if it's something you're passionate about, yes, it's work, but don't doubt that you can do it. I definitely, and if you think sometimes you're overwhelmed or doubting yourself, I doubt myself all the time. I always feel behind in the quarter system, and I'm a faculty member. So it's normal to feel that way sometimes. And that's okay. I promise you, you are not the only one who feels that way.
Any information you might have about the mechanical engineering and civil engineering programs? Any hands-on experiences or any kind of engagement?
I think, and Sanjeevi and Aldredge can correct me if I'm wrong, but basically I believe all the engineering courses, and I know mechanical and aerospace engineering have a capstone senior design course. That is one. Mechanical and aerospace engineering also have a number of student organizations in which are very hands-on. The Engineering Student Design Center that was mentioned earlier by Yesenia is also something that I think there's a lot of mechanical engineering students who get involved with that. So there are definitely a lot of opportunities for hands-on activities.
And Dr. Bronner, a student was asking a question about data science. I think you started answering. I think the student is asking, is data science considered to be an engineering or computer science related major?
So data science is located in the College of Letters and Sciences. I'm not familiar enough to know if there's any engineering courses. Professor Aldredge may know, but it's not in the College of Engineering. We have the computer science department is located in there.
And just to touch on that, I think it's really important that you take advantage of the opportunity to learn some of these really upcoming, these areas that are going to really be important across all of the disciplines. So with data science, for example, there's machine learning, which is the foundation of autonomous vehicles, whether it's a car or a robot. That technology is something that is going to be used across all of the disciplines. So you have an opportunity to learn about some of these areas, even if it's in another department or another college. You can take courses, whether it be data science or computer science, even if that's not your major.
There is a student who is, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I do want to stay on time, and I think we could keep building on these questions, but Dr. Castro, did you want to add some final points?
Yeah, I actually just echo, it's been a lot of great information, and but I want to bring more again back the point that Dr. Bronner added, and which is really for these applicants and students to feel more confident that most likely they are much better than they think. And there is this perception that you're not able and you can't. And the message I want to give is really, try, just try it, and then you see that you most likely will succeed. Don't be yourself to be the one that defeats you. So go, be bold, and really trust your instinct, and trust you're already here. You're doing a great step on learning and what to do. What are the next steps? So move forward, ask questions. Don't just stay beyond within these atmospheres. So now you have our names. As Sanjeevi said, just shoot an email to us, like a cold email. We'll be happy to answer questions. I see there are questions about what materials engineering is. Shoot me an email. Happy to Zoom and talk about it. Just trust yourself, believe in yourself.
Wise words. So I wish we could give you like a round of applause, and I would like to thank all of our faculty and Anna for co-hosting this. Huge thank you for spending this afternoon with us and helping answer these student questions. And again, I will be sending a follow-up email with the contact information for the various folks, along with other links. But I did want to invite my colleague Kim, who's going to take and speak with our students. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you again, faculty, for joining us.
Now, it's a pleasure.
So my name is Kimberly. I am a UC Davis alumna. I graduated last year in spring 2020, and I'm very excited to introduce our student panelists, who are all from the College of Engineering at UC Davis. So panelists, if I could have each of you introduce yourself, share your name, your major, and what community college you transferred from. Abraham, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, of course. My name is Abraham, and I am a senior electrical engineering major, and I transferred from CRC, Cosumnes River College.
Chesley.
Hi everyone, it's nice to meet you all virtually. My name is Jocelyn Sohol. I am a senior studying biomedical engineering, and I transferred from Castlemas River College as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Savag Momjan. I'm a fourth year studying material science and engineering. I didn't actually transfer. I haven't come from community college. I came here as a freshman. So yeah.
Thank you. All right, so let's get started with our first question. What advice do you have for future transfer students given your journeys? Anyone can jump in.
I would say, I don't know, as a transfer student, well, for me personally, I didn't know anyone coming to Davis at all. And, you know, going to the upper division classes for me, it was a bit like a little nerve-wracking because I felt alone, you know? So I think my advice to transfer students is try to make connections with people and just make friends. And, you know, so you guys can group study and, you know, ask each other questions. And that's what AvenueE gave me, to be honest. Before I transferred, AvenueE actually gave me, I mean, all my friends are from AvenueE, to be honest. So at Davis. So it was, yeah, that's the advice I would give you.
Yeah, I'll also just like to echo what Abraham said. AvenueE, like, I made pretty close friends from people in the cohort, from the 2020 cohort. So that was really nice just coming into Davis. I would say for another advice to like socialize is to get involved with clubs. Davis has a very inclusive atmosphere where you can like get to know other people. I started getting involved in the UC Davis sailing team, completely like out of what I'm traditionally involved with, but it's a great opportunity to meet other like-minded people. And regarding classes and like just staying on top of your material, I would say something that I made use of was Google Calendar and just my reminders on my iPhone. Like I would include like the commute time that it takes from my apartment to the class, discussions, any office hours that the teacher and the TAs have. And also I would say make use of TA office hours because if I remember correctly, I don't think any of my classes back at CRC had TAs. And after like taking a summer course at Davis last year, I realized like each class typically has 3 TAs depending on the size. So I would just say, you know, make use of those opportunities, and they can also give you insight onto research if you're going into that area.
Yeah, so my number one advice to many transfer students is just like taking upper division engineering classes are very difficult oftentimes. But because of these difficult like classes, the TAs that are always super helpful and always really want to help you out. And there are a ton of different like tutoring services and different like student TAs that are there to help you out. There's like the services are in place for you to go out and ask for help if you're like having difficulty, which like almost everyone does. But it's like using these opportunities to make sure you like really learn your classes, I think is key for being successful in many of the upper division engineering classes.
Thank you. I would also like to introduce Stephanie Leon, who joined us. Stephanie, feel free to introduce yourself, share with us your major, what community college you transferred from, and the question was, what advice do you have for future transfer students based off of your experiences?
So hi, my name is Stephanie and I'm doing biomedical engineering and I transferred from Woodland Community College. So since I came in a bit late, I did have the opportunity to hear what the other students said, and I kind of agreed with what everyone said. So I don't really have much to say other than, yeah, go to office hours, take advantage of it. The teachers are very willing to help. And like Jasleen said, go to clubs. I didn't have the opportunity to get much experience. So now I'm trying to force myself to get involved as much as possible. And then I would also say in community college, try and see if there are jobs in your field around you, because I actually found out that there was some biomedical companies here in Davis that I wish I had known about, because I met one guy and he had been he was involved in a job, and well, he was involved in a company, and it was localized here in Davis. And so now I kind of wish, like, since I'm local from Davis, I wish I had taken the opportunity to look into that company. So kind of just like, even though you're still in community college, take look around for jobs that are in your major, so you can find something instead of like, because I know it's hard to get internships in community college. So try to look for jobs and maybe you can get an internship.
Thank you. Let's move on to our next question. It's, how did you know engineering was you? And if you had any self-doubt, how did you overcome it?
The question was, how do I know engineering was for me? Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, electrical engineering is a very hard major, right? So there are times where, and it's very broad. So there are many concentrations where you can go. There's radio frequency, there's digital systems, there's analog, there's power. There's even power. There's so many concentrations you go to, and I mean, not everyone is gonna have an interest in, like, all those classes. And obviously, there are difficult classes where you do have self-doubt, but I mean, what I do, I just review my goals for the future. So, and I knew engineering was for me because, I mean, I have a passion for it, I have an interest for it, and yeah, that's it.
As for me, my major is very biology heavy, and in high school, I had the intention of pursuing the MD route, like majoring in like something like cell biology. But then personally, just evaluating my personal characteristics and seeing how I would get stressed out into situations, just like in my day-to-day activities. I know personality builds over time, but I just didn't think that the MD route was suitable for the type of person that I am, because I wanted to have time for personal pursuits, my family members, and enjoy life on the side as well. Not saying that MD is like just like all about studying and patient care, but I would have a hard time balancing everything if had I gone down that route. So I chose biomedical engineering instead. The only difference is I'm not having the patient interaction. More so I'm talking to like computer engineers, mechanical engineers to construct biomechanics, which is a specialization that I'm going into. So I like having that type of feedback from other engineers, doing something technical, doing something innovative. So that's why I chose engineering. Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and answer this one next. So in like high school, I was always interested in chemistry and trying to find out like, oh, what do I want to do? And I kind of just like shot in the dart, looked up what material science was, thought it was pretty cool. And I decided to like keep learning more about it. And the more I took coursework, the more I like started falling in love with my major. It's kind of just like, I enjoyed it. And the more I learned about it, the more reaffirmation I got that this is what I wanted to do. And I think in terms of self-doubt, it's like always natural when you're having difficulty with classes or things just aren't going exactly the way you want it to be, or you're falling behind. Just like doubt yourself to look at other people and see like, oh, like they're very put together, or like they know what they're doing. I'm like struggling behind. And it's like totally natural. And I feel that way like all the time. But I guess what keeps me going is as somebody who like has like big goals of getting into grad school, et cetera, with these things, it's like, think about the big picture for me is sometimes difficult. So the way I kind of stay motivated and stay focused is just like one assignment at a time. What do I need to do tomorrow? What do I want to do in this next hour? Or maybe like, I just want to finish like half this homework assignment for now. And it's doing the little things and feeling like as if you achieved something, and all like the little assignments that you do kind of just gets you more confident and like helps push you through the quarter. So yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'm the last one. So I chose engineering because early in my childhood, I wasn't very good with like STEM related topics like math, science, and all that. But basically, eventually, like through middle school and high school, it turned out that I was really good in science. And I really loved cell biology, and I really thought that I would go somewhere into just the biology field because it really interested me. It didn't take a lot of work for me to obtain it. And in high school, I got really good with chem and I was really good with math. And when I actually found out about biomedical engineering when I attended an event at UC Davis. I think they even had it this year. It's pretty much just like a fair where you get to have the opportunity to go see grad students and see what they're majoring in. And I met someone at that fair who was doing biomedical engineering, and he was engineering a heart. And that's what really captivated my interest. And because I was good in math and biology, I wanted something that would integrate both. And I knew that like I developed some interest in even marine biology because I took classes like zoology in high school, and that also really fascinated me. But the problem was like I was also thinking in terms of like money. Like I needed something to be able to, you know, sustain me. And engineering, I thought, felt like the best mix, especially since it captivated all my interests, like involving like chemistry, biology, and math. And in terms of like the second question, that was in terms of like what has motivated me, right? So I'll be honest, I kind of had some self-doubts, not in my academic skills, more in my experience, like my technical skills, because I had been pretty much focused in academics. So I was always like studying, and I never had the opportunity to build my technical skills. And so I would say that I'm actually very weak in that. And so that kind of caused self-doubt because I wasn't sure if I could do this major. Like even though I could do all the academic aspects of it, the technical skills was what was really worrying me. And I would honestly go through depression for that. But now I'm trying to just like push myself, like even though I get depressed, like if I feel like I'm not able to do something right, you know, it's just a learning experience. You just got to push yourself, and the more you do, the better, I think. Yeah, I think that was kind of like it. Yeah, just pretty much just like the other thing I guess was I keep myself like very busy. Like before I would honestly get distracted watching TV, and that wasn't good. Now I really keep myself busy, and that helps me to stay motivated. Like I'm always busy. I'm working in lab. I'm being more proactive, joining clubs. I'm trying to join like a club for building prosthetics so that I can gain experience. I'm currently in a machining class because as I said, I don't have any technical skills. So I'm trying to be as proactive as possible to try to gain as much experience as possible. I'm trying to also like practice even my own circuitry because I'm not good in that either. So it's just like, I'm trying to just get involved as many activities as possible, not just focusing in academics now, but trying to build on my technical skills so that when I graduate, I'll be confident in my own skills to get a job. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you everyone for sharing. All right, so it looks like we're cutting short on time, but we do have a lot of questions. So let's see, maybe one or two people can respond to each question. So let's start off with, does being an engineering major mean studying 24/7? Do you have any time to join clubs or hobbies, anything like that?
I guess I'll answer that. I'm taking 16 units. So I'm doing senior, and I also have a software engineering internship that I'm currently doing. So it's like I'm kind of treating it as like a part-time job. So studying 24/7, it's I mean, I would say it's kind of it goes either. I think it kind of depends on what, like for instance, like if it's finals week, I mean that's a little bit more studying 24/7 territory, right? But you know, there are weeks where it's a little bit more slower. There are weeks where it's super fast. But generally, as an engineering major, you will be studying a lot. It's almost like a full-time job. Treat it like a full-time job.
Would anyone else like to add in?
I think it often depends on the classes, or like your course load that semester, or like what your goals are in that class. And I think oftentimes if the unit count for many engineering classes is, you can get a rough estimate for how many hours of week, how many hours of work do you have to put in per week to do well in that engineering class. And I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's often, I want to say 3 hours of work per unit, but you have to correct me on that. But I think 100% you can have a social life with your engineering coursework. And it all depends on that week, how much homework you have, whether you have exams, whether it's finals week. But in like all my friends that I know of, and like all my other like fellow engineers, they always have a work-life balance between engineering and like their social life. And I think it's just all about finding what that balance means for you. For some people, they want to work maybe like 60% of their days and just like relax and for 40%. Other people might want like a 70-30. And I think it just all depends on what you need and what you think is enough for you to succeed. Yeah. People always make it like, oh, like engineers have no life, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that's very much an exaggeration. As an engineer, you will have the opportunity to just like have a social life as well.
Thank you. All right. So because Stephanie touched on this, can someone explain the difference in academic and technical skills? Steph, you want to take this one?
Sure. So by academic skills, it's kind of more referring to like your study skills, how well you're able to obtain the material, what do you do to, I guess, engulf it. At least that's how I interpret it. Technical skills is more referencing like, for me, I think of it as how competent you are. Like for me, I think of myself as a little bit incompetent, like I'm very inexperienced in skills. So in terms of technical skills, that can include things like machining, working in lab, being delicate, being careful, kind of being able to know, like in lab, we have to be very strategic with time. We have to know how to think ahead. We have to be able to read the protocols, understand what's going on, and all of that stuff. I had never gotten experience in before. Like it was very different compared to classes that I took in community college, where like all labs, like biology, chemistry, wasn't to this extent. And I had done one internship before the lab I just joined, and it was all simple, very basic. I felt like I could handle it, but this lab, it took it to a whole new level, which I've never experienced. So I would say it was very difficult. So for me, it was very difficult. So kind of what I mean by technical skills is just like your ability to be able to do things, like whether that's like programming, machining, working in lab, that sort of thing. It's not just focused on you studying for your classes. Like now, I think for me, like I used to focus all in classes, but now that's not enough anymore. I have to really focus and narrow in on my technical skills, because in the end, you know, when you get a job, it's going to be based on what you can provide to the company. And that's going to involve like a lot of problem solving skills. And I know some classes they do give that, because I know now a lot of my classes involve us having to do projects, and there's a lot of critical thinking in that, and that's really good. But to complement that, we also have to have that technical skill balance, and we have to be able to know how to work things physically, not just use your brain.
Thank you, Steph. All right, next question. What are your plans of transitioning from graduating in, oh, all right. So does anyone have post-grad plans as of yet? I think a few of you were seniors. What is this final year looking like for you?
So for me, I'm in a limbo at the moment. I'm considering medical school, so I need to, if to do that, since I am a bit late on that route, it would take me a gap year to study for the MCAT, so that's still up in the air. But the more feasible route for me, given my major, is probably just getting a job and applying for jobs like within the next quarter. So I can start speaking to employers, speaking to recruiters, and get that under, like, I have that experience through the career fairs and everything. So just getting in touch with potential employers and working, or if that doesn't work out, or if I feel like within within like a designated time, if I don't want to go down the route, then I'll still pursue medicine, but that's still up in the air. But most likely for me, it's going to be industry.
Abraham, would you like to add in?
Sorry, can you guys hear me? My connection is really, really laggy right now.
We can hear you.
Hello?
I can go ahead and jump in while he's trying to figure that out.
Thank you.
So as far as my like post-grad plans, I'm currently going through the process of applying to grad school. And like kind of half also looking at jobs in case like that falls out or find out that's something that I don't want to do. But most people around like this time of year, senior year, will often choose to start looking at jobs, like start like browsing the market, etc., like stuff like that, or applying to grad school. And the cool thing about Davis is that it has career fairs throughout fall, winter, and spring quarters. Well, they'll bring recruiters in to get help so you can like talk to them and see if like they'll bring you in for an interview. So Davis also prepares you and gives you the resources you need if you want to go find a job after school.
Okay, so my connection is better now. So my post-grad plans, I'm planning on hitting the workforce immediately after graduation. Right now, my experience is in software engineering, like all my internships. So I'm prepping on studying leak code. Like I'm, working on, I don't know, for all the CS majors, you guys probably heard of it, but leak code is pretty much companies, they give you data structure questions, and you pretty much work on it and solve the problem in the middle of the interview. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm just studying my data structures, and that's for my software engineering route. But I also have a bachelor's in electrical engineering, so I was also thinking of planning to apply to electrical engineering companies post-grad. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to add anything?
Okay, I guess I'll add. So for me, I'm actually kind of like uncertain. I do know that I want to go to grad school eventually because I'm planning on pursuing in tissue engineering, and I've already been looking at jobs, and they actually require a high degree, a PhD. So I'm planning on doing that eventually, but I think first I'm gonna go for my master's only because I've heard that it requires like only a year or two, and I think it would be a good build up to a PhD since that takes roughly up to 6 years, and it can be pretty tough based on when I talk to other grad students. But I think my end goal will be to go into industry, I think.
No, we just have like 1 or 2 minutes left, and I want to pick on our 2 AvenueE students on the Zoom with us today to just share any final thoughts you have with our community college students on the benefits, like why, should they consider AvenueE? Like, why did it make a difference in your life or your education journey? Any final thoughts on that?
Well, I joined AvenueE during the pandemic, right? So everything was remote. That made it like, for me, like I touched up on the topic before, but I said that it's really important to make connections, right? So how I made connections was actually joining AvenueE, and AvenueE, the program, they teach you a lot and they are there to support you. They have programs that help you with things like resumes, portfolio, cover letters. It's pretty much they touch up on like every topic, and they're always there for you. So yeah, I would say it's worth it. If you guys have the opportunity, just join AvenueE.
Yeah, I'm just extending on that. I joined AvenueE for the networking experience and honestly just to make new friends within my field, not knowing anyone who was going into Davis. So that was a really good like segue into my life at Davis. I think AvenueE is just like a great opportunity if you have the opportunity or if you have the chance to join, just because like Yesenia and Mrs. Long have provided so many great opportunities for us, whether that's like study spaces on campus or like graduate school research opportunities. And like also, I think they're starting a new section on how to negotiate job offers. So for us like seniors going into industry, that would be like a great way to get our feet wet. But I just think it's a really good opportunity to grow as an individual, and they have opportunities like I mentioned before for you to get engaged with. So.
And staff, I want to maybe take this opportunity to maybe ask, you know, how the transfer opportunity program really benefited you. You're on mute.
So initially I wasn't part of the transfer opportunity program, like in terms of, you mean like the program, like, sorry, you mean as like a worker, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think it really benefited me because I got to learn more about the campus. Like it was so much easier rather than having to figure it out by myself. Kimberly and Marisol, who was another SOA, they were super helpful in like being able to direct us to resources on campus. And I think that was really super helpful because yeah, otherwise I would be like somehow struggling to ask. And I think it was a lot easier just to ask fellow students. I think it was also a good opportunity to like, you know, be able to learn how to talk to people. Because I'm pretty like introverted. So I think it really helped. I think it really was helpful for providing like a really supportive network too. And, you know, I think it was a good place to develop good friends that you can talk to throughout time. So, yeah.
With that being said, I want to be mindful of time. None of you were introverts today because you all expressed some amazing advice and really key things for our transfer students. For those of you that stuck around all the way to the end, thank you so much. Again, my name is Fabian. I'll be sending a follow-up email with the links. So let's just give a big round of applause to all of our faculty, to our student panel, to our colleagues at Los Rios, AvenueE, and my co-host for today. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great evening. We look forward to working with you.